Hi, welcome to Rein It In. I'm Rachel.
And I'm Matt.
So this is a podcast about two married nerds who are traveling around and eating food and generally having a good time and then telling you about it.
Yeah. It's been a year, though. Oh, it's been more than a year.
Yeah, so we're finally back to traveling. Vaccinated, cautious COVID traveling. And we are going to tell you about it.
Yeah. I don't know, where am I going with this? So, yeah, even though it's been a year, we actually put out a whole year's worth of episodes. You can listen to some of our old things. We went camping. We had some stuff about games. We had lots of stuff about food. But today, yeah, we're starting day 5 of our road trip. And this is the first time we've ever actually, legitimately road trip together, right?
Mm-hmm. It is. First time this is our 17th wedding anniversary this year. So yeah, we haven't ever taken a road trip before. Yeah,
so it's been pretty fun. We have a planning episode if you didn't already listen to it. If you've already listened to that, we're not going to rehash too much of it. But basically, yeah, we've got our double vaccination here in the States, and we decided to go visit a bunch of our friends that we were not able to visit last year. We had actually 2 separate trips that were canceled in April, and we hadn't actually set one for the second, but it was going to be
in the fall.
Yeah. So now that we can travel again a bit here, we're doing that. We started out in Atlanta, Georgia. We drove up
75,
yep, Knoxville. We did Lexington, Kentucky. We hit Cincinnati for 2 days, and we just spent the night in
Columbus.
So, this is the longest intro ever.
Yep.
So we're going to go ahead. I know, right. We've been keeping a scorecard, and we're going to go over some of those bits here.
Yep, that's what we're going to do. Since we hadn't necessarily taken a road trip together before, we've been on road trips, just not with each other. Since we hadn't done that before, we figured we wanted to do some of the classic road trip things. And that was, I think, especially random attractions, right? So we've been trying to collect those in every stop. And we've been keeping a scorecard, and that's also in the Instagram, but we thought we'd run down some of those for you today.
Yeah, I guess this is the plug, too. If you aren't following us on Instagram, we're Rein It In _podcast on Instagram. We're Rein It In -podcast on Facebook. We're taking lots of pictures. Yesterday was a bit of a quiet day here in Columbus, but otherwise there's been tons of photos and things going on. And really, when we say we haven't taken a road trip, we've definitely driven across the country more than once, but it's always been with a specific destination in mind, trying to get there as quick as possible. And this time we're taking a road trip. Next stop's going to be West Virginia. We're going to come down to Roanoke. We're going to hit Greenville, South Carolina. Then we're going to hit back to Atlanta. And that's all over about 10 days. But we're trying not to have more than, 3.5, 4 hours of driving a day for the most part, so that the trip isn't driving. The trip is the places where we're at.
Yeah. So we're trying to break things up. Yesterday we only drove for 2 hours, for example.
Yeah.
So I think it's been pretty successful in terms of not feeling exhausted or overwhelmed from being in the car.
Yeah. And one of the things that whenever we've driven around the country, I always remember seeing these scenic overlook signs, and I always think, wow, I really want to stop there. But every time we're normally driving, we're just trying to cannonball run it, and we're just trying to make good time, and we're trying to minimize our stops. And then, of course, this time, we've got 500 miles or something already, and we've yet to notice a scenic overlook pull-off. But, we've been on the interstates, and I think the interstates really just don't want people coming on and off, and maybe the states we've been going through are better about having their rest stops every so often. Maybe it was more the West, where there was longer stretches without a service, where they would have a spot where you could pull off.
I don't know. Yeah, we haven't seen a single scenic overlook, but we have, again, like Matt said, just been on the interstate. There's lots of, 75 going through Kentucky and Tennessee is actually really pretty. You're going through the mountains.
There were gorgeous spots where I wish I could have pulled over and looked.
Right. I think it's just a matter of like needing to be on those scenic byways. And again, we are on a road trip, but we're not. We still did stay on the interstate. I sort of looked at like, oh, maybe we could do, in between Columbus and Cincinnati, like not on the interstate. But it just didn't seem like it was taking you through anything particularly. I mean, this isn't like the most scenic part of Ohio. I would say that like 2-hour space.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Yeah, because like Cincinnati was gorgeous, and the Columbus area is really nice too. Mm-hmm. But somehow there was very nothing going on. Mm-hmm. It was almost like being in Northwest Ohio again.
Yeah. So anyway, maybe we'll try to branch off a little bit, especially as we go down through the mountains in Virginia, and we'll tell you about that next time. So our
so far we're
has 0 scenic overlooks.
Big goose egg on the scenic overlooks, but still have hopes.
Hopes and dreams.
Yeah. And then also just because we're us and what we do is eat, drink, and read things. Although I haven't been as good about reading things on this trip. I have yet to open my book.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
I finished one last night.
But so we've been trying to make it a point to stop into independent bookstores, at least buy something. And I'm also keeping an eye out for comic shops. We stopped at a nice comic shop actually a really nice bookstore and comic shop, 2 separate places in Knoxville, Tennessee. And actually it was kind of cool. We had we were chatting with the owner of the comic shop, and then he replied to our Instagram
that was cool.
thing and invited us to potentially get into the Sun Sphere, which is currently closed because of COVID. So if we're back in Knoxville,
I think
we'll
it was a secret.
And he posted it on Instagram.
Oh, right. It was an Instagram secret.
Yeah, an open secret. Yeah. There's probably just as many people, actually probably fewer people listening to the podcast than they are looking at our Instagram.
That's true. Yep. So both the bookstores that we've been to have been really nice, really well kind of curated. So I bought a book for a book club, like a good person who was going to buy a book that they were going to buy anyway. And then I bought just a completely random book. I decided yesterday, like, nope, I'm just going to choose something by an author I haven't read before, not a series I'm familiar with, not something that I've heard of, and so I just bought a random book.
Yeah. There was a book there that looked really interesting. It was on their staff picks. I totally don't remember what the hell it was called. But it sounded interesting. It sounded a little bit memoir, a little bit like history. But like, because I haven't been reading that many books lately, I've been more reading comics recently, and but I just can't bring myself to like buy a book by a white guy right now if I'm reading so many books. I feel like I need to force myself into reading some different voices. So even though it looked really interesting, I was like,
interesting. Yes.
Sorry, white guy.
Yeah, in terms of that, Legendborn is not a white author, I don't think, the one that I bought. And this other one I'm willing to bet is. It's like a very kind of London fantasy mystery kind of thing. So anyway,
we got a 2 on bookstores.
Diversion, but two really nice bookstores.
Yeah.
And I'm glad we found this one in Columbus, because we were in German Village yesterday for a little bit, which is a neighborhood in Columbus, kind of like south of downtown. Not even kind of like, just south of downtown. And there's a really big bookstore there, and we didn't end up making it into it, so I thought we were going to have a 0 for bookstores for Columbus too. But then on our walk through the neighborhood where our hotel is, Short North, which is north of downtown,
just a short distance.
We found a bookstore, so I was pretty thrilled with that.
Yeah, it was a nice one too. So we mentioned the Sun Sphere. The other thing that we're trying to be a little bit more open to is sort of random attractions. I'm kind of considering this specifically not roadside attractions, because sometimes they're things that, aren't necessarily on the roadside, but also things that we weren't necessarily thinking of. We might have done a little bit of prep to go, but things that are just a little bit weird. So First one was Sun Sphere in the World's Fair Park. We have that one on there. That's in Knoxville. That was fun.
It was
a little walk.
Yeah, I mean, it would have been fun to go up in it, but like, yeah, it was just nice to see the World's Fair Park and kind of explore around. We didn't have a ton of time in Knoxville because we were, sort of using that as just like our staging spot, but yeah, I really.
Mm-hmm.
I liked the city. It had a nice feel to it.
Surprisingly nice public restrooms at the World's Fair Park.
If you need a pit stop, what was our joke going to be? To go to South College? Is that what it was?
Oh yeah. Why was that? Because it was like
it shared a building with a toilet paper manufacturer, I think.
Yeah.
Anyway,
yeah.
Sorry, you don't need to be in on our private poop jokes world. Anyway,
distracted.
Yes, I would go back to Knoxville for sure and spend a little bit more time there.
Yeah.
Because it did seem very fun. I would, like to do it maybe when it's not summer. Probably. I don't know that I would go back there in the summer.
It was pretty warm. We've got a heat wave going on.
It is a heat wave right now, too, unfortunately. So, yeah, like as soon as we started on our road trip, it was like, heat wave for the Southeast and Midwest. So it's going to be 90 in Columbus today.
And then, so between Knoxville and Lexington being our second stop, I remember that one of my friends from work had mentioned the original Kentucky Fried Chicken is outside. Is it Canton, Kentucky? Was that what it was?
I think so, yeah.
Or Corbin.
Maybe. It started with a C.
Might have been Corbin. And so we were tooling along. We're like, we kind of need some gas. We could probably go a little bit further. And then we saw the sign that was the Harland Sanders Cafe and Museum and Birthplace. So we're like, cut over the exit and tooled around a little bit. Of course, again, COVID times, the inside was closed, so we couldn't actually check out the museum and cafe, but we did go through the drive-thru.
Which is another thing that we haven't done in forever, and also very road trippy.
Right.
So.
Yeah, living in Midtown Atlanta, we don't drive that much. We go to the grocery store and things like that, and I really don't think I've been through a drive-thru in the last 10 years. I can't think of doing it since we've been in Georgia.
I can't remember the last time I went through a drive-thru.
So that was kind of fun in its own. Mm-hmm. Of course, you got chicken on your skirt, which is when we were already traveling light.
Yeah, which is now stained. But you know what? It was an incredibly cheap skirt that I bought for this trip, so I'm not going to be sad to throw it out when I get home.
And I have to say, it was an incredibly satisfying chicken sandwich. It was a
satisfying sandwich. Yeah. It really was.
So that was number 2.
Okay, yeah.
And number 3 was one of the big attractions we were planning for this trip, which was...
Oh, Cocaine Bear. Yeah. Sorry. I was like... The market in Cincinnati? No. Cocaine Bear. The reason that we stopped in Lexington, anywhere that we could have chosen in that sort of area was so we could see Cocaine Bear. Cocaine Bear, storied existence. You can find, his story on My Favorite Murder.
They're going to make a movie out of it?
They are also making a movie out of it. Out of the story of how Cocaine Bear got all the cocaine that he overdosed on in the mountains in Georgia.
But there's also an adorable animated My Favorite Murder about Cocaine Bear.
If you Google My Favorite Murder Cocaine Bear on YouTube, you should do this.
Yeah, it's like 4 minutes long. Check it out.
It might be less than that, actually. Anyway, so Cocaine Bear. So Cocaine Bear now exists after a long and storied trip around the country in his deceased state. He now exists at this store called Kentucky for Kentucky in Lexington. So we went there, got some pictures with Cocaine Bear, which you can see also on the Instagram.
Right. Oh, actually, the cover of this podcast is going to be Cocaine Bear.
Yeah. And, picked up some T-shirts. I think the store is normally, again, like...
Yeah, it seemed like it'd be pretty fun.
And, I think it would be full of quirky things and kind of fun. Again, COVID times, they've taken this opportunity to, remodel the whole place, which makes perfect sense. Yeah. So Cocaine Bear was well on display, and then you could buy some T-shirts, but it was kind of, obviously in between. I would definitely I think recommend people go there, especially after they get done remodeling.
This is like the one tip of the podcast today probably is, especially because of COVID times, we started looking around because there were some other things we wanted to do. There's like a cool, I didn't realize this is where it was, but a Manhattan Project.
Secret City.
Yeah, Secret City.
Outside of Knoxville.
Yeah, but it's closed because of COVID. And so then ended up checking, and Cocaine Bear, KY for KY was closed. Like their website said they were closed, and it was like, oh no. So I emailed them and was like, hey, we're going to be driving through. Is there any chance? And they were like, we're actually hoping to open next week, which was like the week that we were going to be coming, or the week before we were coming. And he's like, but if for some reason we don't make our opening deadline, we're there working, just ring the doorbell and we'll let you take a look. So that was pretty nice folks over there at Kentucky for Kentucky.
And actually that stop ended up working out really well because in that same neighborhood there was a really good donut shop and a little kind of indoor market that we just accidentally ran across because it was near the Kentucky for Kentucky
Yeah, we were
store.
just looking for some breakfast, and Rachel was like, oh, there's a donut shop. And then turned out there was a whole bunch of stuff there. So
it was the best carrot cake donut of my life. It was really good.
It was a carrot cake donut, which maybe not too surprising, instead of raised. And the frosting was good, the carrot cake was good, but it was also, it had a slightly crunchy, crispy outside.
It was really good.
Still moist.
I will say, my I don't think my body is used to traveling. Obviously, it's not after 14 months. But yeah, I think eating weird road food yesterday all day, I was just sort of nauseous and a little bit blech. It was fine, but it wasn't my favorite.
Yeah.
My favorite day ever. So I'm trying to be a little easier on the body. We'll see how that goes.
Yeah. I'll try to stop eating random ass crap. So that's 3. We'll hit a break here but let's wrap up the last 2 attractions. We were in Cincinnati visiting a good friend, and she took us to all these fun little neighborhoods, including over the Rein. And is it over the Rein?
I think it's
so.
over the Rein.
OTR. And she took us to Finlay Market, which we're adding as a random attraction because we were not considering going to it. But it was a nice market with some outdoor shops and flea market-y kind of stuff and some food and stalls inside.
Yeah. It was really really lively.
And I think part of the attraction I would add too was there were a ton of murals. So this is worth checking out the Instagram too. Again, _podcast on Instagram or on Facebook, rainitin-podcast. Just a lot of fun murals all through that area. Yep. They were great.
Yeah, so random murals and nice market.
And then the last one was here in Columbus, and hopefully we're going to hit at least one more random attraction here in Columbus with the giant head.
We're also going to hit another market. We should add a market scorecard because we have that one indoor market from Lexington, and we've got the one from Cincinnati, and now we're going to have North Market from here.
What was the first? Oh yeah, good point.
Yeah.
Okay. All right, so we're going to have to lose one off of the attractions. That works.
Yep.
Can't double count.
Can't double count.
But yeah, we got Rachel got her picture with Arnold Schwarzenegger.
Yeah. The weird statue of Arnold Schwarzenegger that exists in Columbus, Ohio for...
I think this is where he won the Mr. Universe.
Yeah. So, I mean, that's a reason to put up a statue of him.
Sure. Why not? Yeah. It's Arnold.
Yeah. So, so that was our random attraction yesterday. It was a Monday in Columbus, so lots of stuff was closed, just as it usually is on Monday. So our random attraction we had to find had to be an outdoor, sort of publicly available one.
It was a good opportunity for a nap.
Yeah, it was. So, let's take a break, and then we're going to come back and talk about... What are we going to come back and talk about? I guess...
well, we got the last 2 is the other disappointment of the road trip so far.
Right.
Not really a disappointment.
And then
the debauchery to some extent.
Yeah, okay.
So I mentioned the other disappointment that we've got going on, And really, to call this a disappointment is pretty minimal. One of the other things I was sort of looking to do, kind of like the scenic overlooks, is I remember when we used to tool around Ohio. We used to live in Ohio, and we'd drive to Chicago to see family, or to Central Illinois to see family, or I don't know, random other places. And especially in Ohio, I remember there being a lot of like random flea market antique malls off the highway. And so I was thinking like, oh, that'd be fun. We could check it out. Maybe I'd find some old comics. Not that I'm expecting to find like amazing deals on those comics, but just be, another excuse to just sort of break up the drive and do something. So we haven't seen that many of those either. We saw one, and we were going to stop at it, but it turned out it was closed, probably because of COVID. But I feel like I don't want to cast aspersions here, but I don't know if that's the right word, but I don't want to say flea markets seem like the kind of place that might have people that aren't as interested in masks. That's probably not fair at all. But I guess it also depends on local ordinances and such. So, but it was closed. It was fine because I just bought comics the day before, and I really didn't want to be stopping at a comic shop every day on this trip. I can only carry and read so much.
Yeah.
So we haven't hit those yet, but hopefully we'll hit one tomorrow.
Yeah, that sounds good.
Tomorrow we're going to be doing back to the roadside attractions. We're going to be stopping in Zanesville to
Tomorrow?
Pottery
Today.
Henge. Oh, today! Holy crap, that's today.
Yep.
Yeah. So later today we're going to be looking at some Pottery Henge.
Vase Henge, I think
Vase
is actually
Henge.
what it's
I think
called.
you're right.
Anyway, we're going to stop there as our random attraction today. I have been taking advantage of Atlas Obscura to find some of this stuff. So, I don't think I would have found Pottery Henge if it weren't for or Vase Henge if it weren't for that.
Well, same thing. That's how we found Arnold last night.
Yeah. So yeah, it's
another
good
tip
for,
of the podcast.
It's good for random attractions, finding
Atlas
random
Obscura.
things. Yep.
Yeah. But if you're going to take a road trip, call ahead, check their website, see if they're open.
Yeah, right now especially. So no dirt malls.
Yeah, no dirt malls yet. But what we have done is tried a fair amount of local alcohol beverage.
Yep, local boozes.
Yeah.
We didn't in Columbus, but yeah, we.
Not yet. No.
That's true. Maybe there'll be a small tasting we can get at the North Market of something.
It's also it's 10 a.m. here, and we're planning to leave town by noon. So.
Yeah. Anyway, we obviously wanted to go to some distilleries in Kentucky, and that also didn't work out quite.
No, I was really surprised.
Planned.
Everything closed at 4 or 5, and we rolled into town at 4:30.
And most places weren't doing tours; they were just doing sales, and they weren't doing tastings. So that's okay. We did end up doing a flight of bourbons at a place. We went to the distillery district, sort of assuming that there would be a lot of distilleries there. That was not necessarily the case.
There were a couple.
And
few. Yeah.
More relevantly, I guess, there was a really nice cidery called Wise Owl, so that was our first stop. And then
we got to play Castles of Burgundy.
Oh, we
our
did.
Official travel game.
Our travel game. I'm looking forward to playing that some more. We should take it with us to North Market.
Okay.
Anyway, so cidery was great, though. I really enjoyed it. So if you are in Lexington and like cider,
and they were nice too.
Yeah. Wise Owl, really nice open indoor and outdoor space. The indoor space had big garage doors and stuff, so it was very airy, and it wasn't crowded at all when we were there. Although we were there a little bit early, I think that area does get pretty busy.
Yeah. But yeah, we did do a flight at a tavern that's connected to a distillery.
Right.
So the distillery itself was closed. We got to try some of their stuff, and that was fun. We bought a bottle from them.
Yep. So we got to try a couple. We did their Lexington flight, so we did get a baby bourbon tasting from there, and then we just kind of picked out some stuff that people recommended.
A couple stores.
At a couple liquor stores. And then...
Yeah, I think we're currently traveling with 5 bottles of bourbon.
Yeah, we are. Some of these are gifts for our friends. But yeah, we've been picking up booze along the way and then kind of dropping it off because we picked up cider and then we left a bottle with our friend.
Mm-hmm.
And then we had wine and we left it with a different friend last night. We picked up some cider that he made, and now we're gonna. Anyway, it's just a big old booze exchange this trip.
So Lexington, 2 places in Lexington. When we were in Cincinnati, Cincinnati.
Oh,
Roads.
Cincinnati.
No. Jungle Gyms.
Yeah, we didn't talk about Jungle Gyms.
Jungle Gyms. We did not put that down as that is definitely
it's a market
attraction.
Too.
It's also a market. Dang it! How do you categorize Jungle Gyms?
Jungle Gyms is like a little bit of an amusement park
and a grocery store.
In a grocery store. The grocery, I mean, it's massive too. Matt kept being like, "It's still going."
It's like international market, massive cheese store, massive wine and liquor store.
Yep.
Yeah.
Wine and beer. I mean, we didn't go into the liquor part because Ohio's laws are weird, but it's huge, and you can get basically anything under the sun that you want there.
I feel like the wine store alone portion of it was as big as a small regional grocery store.
Yeah. Right?
Like when you're in those little towns and you go into the Kroger, you're like, "Ooh, this is a small Kroger."
Yeah, that's true. You can also get
tastes.
Beers. You can drink a beer and walk around if you want. Or we drank a beer and sat at a table. But yeah, Jungle Gyms is...
There's animatronic displays.
Yeah, there's a whole Robin Hood that talks to you.
There's Corn and Butter, the classic comedy duo.
Right. Yeah, it's just like completely bizarre things scattered throughout the store. We watched the video of the creation. There's a movie theater that shows you a movie about the creation of Jungle Gyms. Anyway,
to call it a movie theater is accurate. However, it was basically a long room.
It was a nook. It was a nook set up to look like a
8 chairs
movie theater. Anyway, if you are in Columbus or you're driving through
Cincinnati.
Sorry, Cincinnati. If you're driving through, like, on 75, sort of, heading through Ohio, it's definitely worth it.
Oh, absolutely.
Worth a look.
Yeah.
It's so interesting. So, we've gone to a lot of markets. We're on our way to another one now.
Yeah. Yeah, okay. We're definitely adding markets. But also while we were in Cincinnati, which, again, Cincinnati is a really nice town.
Cincinnati's nice, I like it.
But we went to Rein Brewery, which is kind of weird because they're like beer and cider and sours, which I know is beer, but they do like a variety of stuff.
Yeah. I really like their beer. You can get it pretty regionally around the Midwest. So, even as far south as like Tennessee, I don't think they come to Georgia, but like I've bought their beer in Chattanooga before. But yeah, I really like their beer, so I was excited to go to that brewery. Brewery's really nice. They have a nice roof space, but it was, again, heat wave, really hot.
It was brutal up there.
So we dodged out of that. We only sat up there for a couple minutes. They were very serious about their COVID protocols too.
Yeah, I've been curious about how different places are with it. Right.
Yeah, I mean, because they were counting the amount of people that were going in and out, making sure that there was clean table space for people before they let you go anywhere.
They had people stationed at every door. Sorry, I cut you off.
No, it's fine.
At every door, and then they would radio to each other. Yeah. Sending up 3. You got space for 3? And then it'd be like, yep, we got them. Send them up.
Yeah. So that was really interesting. So we went there, and it was great. I definitely recommend. And then also in our friend Cassandra's neighborhood, which is College Hill, there is another brewery called Brink, and Brink was really nice too. Their beer was great. I mean, it's a much smaller operation than Rheingeist, but they've won awards for a couple of their beers, which we tried, and it was a really nice. It was a really nice
or
space.
Something like that.
Yeah, Moosey. Milk stout.
Yeah, it was solid. The what I thought was most interesting there, they had 3 of these things called milkshake IPAs. Some of our listeners have maybe heard of this, but it's not something I'd heard of before. I drank plenty of IPAs. Definitely can't be vegan because they use lactose in them, so they're not milk, but they have this different body and a little bit of a I don't know. One of them we had
They're
tasted
little bit
like a
cloudy.
creamsicle.
Yeah, the creamsicle one I liked quite a lot. There was also a lime sherbet.
Oh yeah, sherbet.
That tasted actually very grapefruity.
Mm-hmm.
But that was a really interesting beer.
And the Damocles was it was like black.
Yeah,
it was super
really
dark, but it
IPA.
wasn't heavy. It was still sort of like citrusy and light.
Yeah, it was super interesting. I mean, it was, Brink is also definitely worth checking out.
Also just seemed like cool folks.
Yeah, they were just really nice. So, like I said, we didn't hit anything in Columbus. Like I said yesterday, it was Monday. Not a lot of probably breweries would have been open. B, I don't actually know what our options are.
We were recuperating a little bit. We took a nap and
like I said, my stomach was just kind of a mess.
Visit a friend. Yeah.
So we got to visit a friend. Oof, boy. Sorry, no, I was just thinking how long we've been friends.
Oh yeah.
A long time, coming up on 30 years probably. So, and we hadn't seen him in a while, so that was super nice.
So yeah, the rest of the road trip we got, we're about halfway point, starting day 5. We've got West Virginia coming up for a few days. We got Roanoke. We got Greenville, South Carolina.
Yep.
Excuse me. Definitely hit us up on any of the social media things, or
if you have suggestions, especially.
Email us if you have any suggestions. If you have any random attractions, we're going to stop at some bridge gorge between Morgantown, West Virginia, and Roanoke.
And we're going to Falling Water, which is I don't know if it's a random attraction, but it's something that's been on my bucket list. So I'm excited about that.
Yeah, definitely.
Bucket.
All right. Well, thanks for listening to the podcast. We're excited to keep traveling, and we want to hear about the fun things other people are doing on your road trips. Let us know. Like, subscribe, all that bullshit.
Yep, exactly. Thanks for listening, guys.
You can check us out at anchor.fm/rainitin. That's spelled REINITIN, all one word, no spaces, and you can leave us a message there. You can also follow us at Instagram at rainitin_podcast, or email us at rainitin@ssdpress.org, also spelled REINITIN at ssdpress.org. Thanks again to all of our friends and family for all the support and for putting up with us. Have a great day.